Hey there, my name is Kris McDaniel. I'm the church plant coordinator for C4SO, Churches for the Sake of Others. And the purpose of this short video is to outline C4SO's process regarding church plant discernment. We understand that church planting is a tricky business. It's hard sometimes to know whether or not God's calling you to plant a church. And sometimes even if you do have a sense of clarity around that, it's hard to know how do I get from point A, an idea, to a fully launched and fully orbed church plant. We also know that organizations sometimes have a hard time expressing and articulating their own sequencing, the step-by-step process. The purpose of this video is to outline our 5-step process concerning discernment for church planting. So number one, the first step in the process would be that a candidate would reach out to the C4SO offices, specifically to me, Kris, Kris, at c4so.org, to set up an initial conversation. So step one, we have that conversation and I connect you to some online research-based assessment tools. The purpose here at the very beginning is to get to know one another, and also for me to expose you to some tools to help you identify strengths and weaknesses so that we gain a better understanding of how the candidate is wired, whether or not they're going to need certain people to be around them in order to round out some deficiencies in terms of what would be needed to make for a successful church plant. This is not a pass-fail time. This is more an opportunity for us to really explore. Now, if step one, that initial conversation and those tools, yields a favorable result in terms of we feel like a sense of, okay, we're moving forward, then I would connect you to step two. And step two in the process is the candidate would be invited to fill out an extensive written inventory. Now, this is going to take some time. This is an opportunity for us on the diocesan side to dig a little bit deeper into your spiritual life, into the rhythms of what you imagine a church would be, into your alignment or lack of alignment regarding certain diocesan values and priorities. We would also have conversations around Anglicanism in general. This is an opportunity for the candidate to really express their ministry history, their values, what's animating them, where they are in their own life with God right now. It's important in this part of the process that the candidate be as honest and clear as they possibly can. It's tempting when you're in a process of discernment to answer questions in an aspirational way, a way where you're trying to achieve a goal. We really want what God wants in this process, and that means we need to be as open and honest as possible. So step two is that inventory, that questionnaire. After I've had some time on the diocesan side to look over and evaluate your responses and results, we would set up step three. And step three is really the first part in the process where the candidate themselves has to put some skin in the game in terms of finances. Step three is we evaluate strength of marriage, and we do a psychiatric evaluation, and we also do an assessment for particular fittedness pertaining to ministry context. Our marital evaluations are through a ministry called Prepare and Enrich, and we have a template on the diocesan side for psychiatric evaluations. These will cost the candidate some money. And we put it at step three because we want to have a reasonable degree of assurance that we're walking along in a favorable direction before we ask you to pay for things. Now, if you're already ordained in the Anglican Church, chances are you probably have already done a psych eval and a Prepare and Enrich marital assessment. If that's the case, you'd simply just send those things over to our church plant office. If not, the good news is you'll have to be ordained at some point if you become a church planter, so you only have to do it once. You can share that data in one direction or the other. So after step three, if we're still tracking along, step four would be an in-person or voice-to-voice or face-to-face through the computer extensive interview with the candidate and their spouse if they're married. And the purpose of step four is to dig even deeper than we would get in the inventory questionnaire response. It's an opportunity to hear the candidate themselves and a partner express things that were written down. This is a great way for us to dig deeply into things like rule of life, Anglican identity, why C4SO is interesting to the candidate, also ministry experience, ability to gather and grow a ministry. We're going to have a really honest and robust conversation, probably take a number of hours. Actually, it's a pretty significant part of the process. Step five, after that inventory, regardless of the outcome, we on the diocesan side would offer written feedback to the candidate. And the feedback would probably fall under one of three categories. So like green light would be everything seems great. We're going to move right on into the process of building toward church planting. Red light would mean this does not seem like a good fit at this time. And so we would recommend that the candidate not be accepted for church planting in the diocese. And then a yellow light would be maybe, but there would need to be some steps of remediation taken. Now we understand that hearing anything short of a green light is likely distressing to even think about if you're in a process. Our commitment on the diocesan level is to be honest and humble and loving. And a part of that is actually to be as clear as we can about the strengths and weaknesses. As a church planter myself, I know how hard it is to plant a church, what kind of toll it takes on your own heart, and even at times on your relationships. And we really want to ensure that people are going in with their eyes wide open. And frankly, if you're not meant to do this, it feels like our responsibility to say we don't feel released to move forward at this time. So those are our 5-step processes, or the 5 steps of that process. If a candidate is released to begin to build, it's really important for me to say this. That doesn't mean that you're a fully orbed church in the diocese. It means a candidate making it through has been released to grow and try to gather critical mass for church planting. Now, to help you gather, we on a diocesan side commit 1 year of coaching and mentoring to every candidate who's made it through the process. Now, we understand that coaching doesn't, it's not a silver bullet, doesn't ensure success, but having a partner that will get together either voice to voice or over the phone or computer or in person, depending on where the coach lives, can go a long way toward helping a candidate not feel so alone as they're trying to build toward critical mass in their church plant journey. So that would typically look like a monthly conversation over 12 months where you would either be one-on-one or in a cohort of church planters with a coach. Here's what we're aiming for. We hope that every church plant will get to critical mass. And here on a leadership level, working with Todd, we have determined that you have to grow a church between 40 and 60 committed adults to be considered a church in our diocese. And that's not because we want to promote a purely attractional model. It's because we believe that viability and critical mass are really important toward moving forward and advancing into a flourishing sense of mission where you could hope to be self-sustaining. If you live in a small town, 40 people. If you live in a metropolitan area or a middle-sized town, we would ask that you gather 60 people. Once you get to 40 to 60, depending on where you are, then you would be called and designated a fully orbed church in our diocese. Also, when you reach critical mass, you're eligible to apply for a funding grant. Now, I'm going to be the first one to tell you, C4SO is not doling out large piles of money to church planters. We are supporting lots of church planters and doing lots of really important things, which means that we can give money, but it's not a ton of money. But you're not eligible to even apply until you can show us critical mass. We want you to show us something, and then we will invest to partner with you for a duration of time once you've got to that critical mass space. So that's our process, all 5 steps. If you are interested in putting yourself in this conversation, please reach out to me, Kris, Kris, at C4SO.org. I look forward to hearing from you and look forward to discerning with you. God bless.